Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this video. My name is Travis Rose. I'm the creator of the Master the Market education that you can find linked below in the description. For those of you that follow me on social media, you've probably seen some of my morning watch lists that I post just about every single day that the market is open. And I wanted to make a video to kind of go over the process of how I put together my watch lists. So that way you can put together your own watch list and find stocks that are meeting the specific criteria that you personally are looking for. And on top of that, if you're somebody that follows my watch list, this way you can actually put together your own and you won't have to necessarily rely on me to post mine every day. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to jump over real quick to just show you a little bit about my watch list real fast. All right, so the first thing on each of my watch lists are stocks that are gapping up in the morning. Simply put, stocks that are gapping up just means that they're opening significantly higher than they closed the previous day due to a large move in extended hours, which is after hours trading and pre-market trading. And more often than not, this is caused by some kind of catalyst or piece of news that was put out in the extended hours market. Okay, so I have stocks that are gapping up, and then I just put their news headline. I put levels of support, resistance, and their number of outstanding shares. Then I also put stocks that are gapping down, which of course just means that they had a large move down in extended hours. And again, I put their headlines, support and resistance, and outstanding shares. And then last but not least, I also have a list of previous day movers. And the reason for this is because many times we'll see stocks that have a big move, and a lot of times that momentum will follow into the next day, and they can end up having runs for multiple days in a row. So I always like to keep track of stocks that had a big move in the previous trading session. Okay, now with that being said, one of the ways to actually find stocks to put on your watch list is to use a tool like a screener. And a screener is just a tool that is used by traders and investors to filter the market for stocks that are meeting your specific user-defined metrics. And one of the very common free screening softwares that we're going to use here in this video is on finviz.com. Now, before going on to Finviz, I want to talk about some of the common screening settings that a lot of people use when they're looking for trade setups. The first thing is average volume. Average volume is simply the amount of shares that a stock trades on an average day. Generally speaking, we want this number to be pretty high. In my opinion, I like to look for stocks that have an average volume of at least 100,000 shares. Anything less than that means that the stock is very illiquid and that there's not very much volume, and because of that, it can be hard to buy and sell at the prices that you want to buy and sell at. Second thing is the current volume, and this is of course going to be the volume for the current trading session. And again, just like average volume, you want this number to be pretty high as well. Preferably, you actually want it to be above the average volume because that means that the stock today is trading more volume than it usually does. And because of that, a lot of times there's going to be increased volatility and there's going to be more setups for us to trade. The number three thing is the price. I personally like to focus on stocks in the $1 to $10 per share range. But of course, this is preference. So if you want to trade stocks that are higher, you can of course put that into your screener when you are looking for any kind of trade setup. Fourth is performance, and essentially what this does is tells us to look for stocks that say have gone up maybe 10% in the past week, or maybe have gone down 20% in the past month. At the end of the day, it kind of lets you find stocks that are already moving in one direction or the other. So if you're looking for stocks that are uptrending, you may want to put into your screener that the stock has gone up 10% in the past week or 10% in the past month, because that tells you that the stock is already moving upward. And a lot of times that allows you to kind of buy into that upward momentum. And the fifth thing that I often put in my screening settings is institutional ownership. Now, institutional ownership is going to be a percentage of the amount of shares that are held by institutions. So if I'm looking for a good long trade or one that I want to buy into, it's always a great sign when there's a high institutional ownership, because that tells you that there are plenty of institutions buying into this stock. And at the end of the day, these institutions and these huge traders with billions and billions of dollars at their expense are the ones that are going to move the market and essentially are the ones that you want to be on the same side of. You don't want to be opposing a trade if, for example, a stock has 80% institutional ownership. If you're trying to short sell a stock like that, you're pretty much trying to bet against these institutions. Okay, so with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go to Finviz now. Just to show you some examples and show you how you can actually screen and look for stocks meeting your criteria. So once you're on Finviz, you want to go up to Screener at the top. And then you want to make sure you have all selected here. So this is going to give you options to screen for fundamental things, technical things, descriptive things, and so on and so forth. So for example, like I said, I like to look for stocks in the $1 to $10 range. So I'm going to go ahead and put price as under $10 per share. Next, I want to find stocks that have a high average volume. So for example, we can put over 200,000 shares. And again, that just means that on an average day, the stock is trading at least 200,000 shares, telling us that there's enough liquidity for us to buy and sell. Next, let's say we're looking for stocks that are trading much more volume today than they would on an average day, telling us that they're having a pretty big move, either up or down. And the way that we do that is by going to current volume. And let's say that we want this to be at least 500,000. Okay, and you can notice that each time we put in a piece of criteria, it's narrowing the market down even more. So right now we're at 462 total stocks, meeting all of the criteria that we have here. And just to take things a step further, we can go to institutional ownership. And let's say we want stocks that only have institutional ownership of at least 30%. So that tells us that there is at least some interest from institutions in the stock. Next, we want to keep this just as United States stocks. Then let's go ahead and go to performance and look for stocks that have gone up at least 20% in the past week. Okay, and this is going to narrow the market down to a total of just 28 stocks. And from there, you can do any kind of analysis, whether it be technical or fundamental, to narrow that list down even further. But this is a very good way and a very effective way to put together stocks meeting your criteria that can be great to actually put onto your watch list. Now, the next thing that I use to find stocks for my day trading watch list is a scanner. And a scanner is a little bit different from a screener because a scanner is actually going to pull stocks up in real time that meet your user-defined metrics. So a screener, you have to refresh time and time again to find stocks that are actually meeting the criteria that you have in that screener. But when you put settings into a scanner, it's going to immediately add stocks to that list on your scanner once a stock meets all of the criteria that you have. And this is actually how I primarily find stocks for my trading watch list. And I actually use Thinkorswim and eTrade Pro's free scanners that are built into their software. And to use that, all you have to do is have an account with TD Ameritrade or eTrade. However, if you don't want to open a new brokerage account, there are plenty of paid scanner options as well, like Trade Ideas or Equity Feed. But with that being said, I'm going to go over to Thinkorswim real quick, just so I can show you some of the scans that I use to find stocks for my watch list. Now, the first thing that I have here is last, and this is going to be the last price that the stock traded at. So again, I like to focus on stocks in the $1 to $10 range. So I'm going to go ahead and put a minimum of $1 per share and a maximum of $10 per share. The next thing we have is volume, and we like to look for stocks again with high volume. So I'm going to put 100,000 shares as a bare minimum. And keep in mind that this is something that you're going to do in pre-market. And generally speaking, pre-market volume is much lower than average volume. So you want to keep this pretty low compared to what you would put, say, on FinViz when you're screening for stocks. And for volume, I don't have a maximum because generally speaking, the more volume, the better. And then the last thing that I have down here is a custom study. And this is going to be price underscore change. So if you click on the study and then go down to price performance, and then down at the bottom, click on price change. Then you want to make sure you have close selected, at least 2% greater than 240 bars ago, and then make sure you have EXT selected as well, which stands for extended hours. And last but not least, you want to have 1 minute. So to summarize, basically all this means is that we're looking for stocks whose previous candle closed at least 2% greater than the candle 240 bars ago. And when you're scanning for stocks gapping in pre-market, this is going to look for stocks that are at least 2% higher than, again, they were 240 bars ago, which would be from the previous day. And if you want to look for stocks that are gapping down rather than gapping up, all you have to do is change this from greater to less. And then once you have everything you're looking for, all you do is hit scan, and it's going to pull up a list of stocks meeting that criteria. Now, keep in mind the market is closed right now. It's after hours trading, so this isn't going to be perfectly accurate, but in pre-market, this would simply tell you all of the stocks that are gapping up or gapping down. And then to arrange them, I like to have stocks that are up the most at the top. And all you have to do is click on mark percent change until you have the top percent gainers at the top. And if you want to add a column to the top, say for example you don't have mark percent change, all you have to do is click this tiny little settings icon there, hit customize, and then scroll on the left side to find whatever you're looking for. And then once you find it, all you do is hit add item, and that's going to pull up as a column now. So anyways, once I get a list of some of the biggest gainers for the market there, then the next step is to look for news for that stock. So say for example, we want to look for the stock symbol IMBI because I know that this was one of the biggest gainers today. I can use the news tool here on Thinkorswim to look for headlines to give me an idea of why that stock gapped up so much today. Now, if it doesn't give me any information there, I can go back over to Safari and I can go to Yahoo Finance. And then on Yahoo Finance, I can search IMBI. And if you scroll down a bit, you're going to see some of the most recent news from the stock. Then once I know the news, all I do is pull up some of the charts and I'll look at the intraday charts. So this way I can get some ideas of where there are levels of support and where there are levels of resistance. And that is exactly how I find some of the stocks that go onto my daily morning watch list. Now keep in mind, I do use multiple scanners, and I just showed you one of the scans there in Thinkorswim. So if you use that and you don't find every single stock that I have on my morning watch list, I recommend messing with the settings a little bit and trying out some of the different scanning settings yourself. But with that being said, I want to just clarify that screeners and scanners are not going to tell you, of course, when to buy and sell. At the end of the day, they're really just to help you find the stocks with the best trade opportunities for the day. So even with a great watch list, you still need to have a solid trade strategy and a solid trade plan. And with that being said, if you're looking for some help learning how to trade and putting together a strategy, I teach the strategies that I use step by step in the first link down below in the description on my website, Master the Market. There are 8 different courses available, over 15 hours of content, 70 practice quizzes, and access to the chat room with over 1,000 other active traders. And if you're interested in more than one of the courses available, you can actually get all 8 of them together in a bundle for a 50% discount. So anyway, I highly recommend you check that out if you're interested in learning more about the market. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. But good luck with your trading, and I'll see you in the next video.